All right, guys, this is Mr. H. This is question number 24 from the June 2023 Regents. This is the last multiple choice question on this test in this section. Notice only 17% of my students got this right, so basically they were guessing. All right, this question is not too bad. We just didn't get a chance to hit the reasonable domain questions as good as I'd like to. But it says a store manager is trying to determine if they should continue to sell a particular brand of nails to model their profit. They use the function P of N, where N is the number of boxes of these nails sold in a day. And a reasonable domain for this function would be. So in order to answer this question, you always have to start by finding what does the domain represent? In this case, the domain is the number of boxes of nails. Number of boxes. So what you should ask, your first question should be, can the domain be negative? Can you have a negative number of boxes that you sell? No, you can't. Second question you should ask, can the domain have decimals or fractions? Decimals. And what I mean is, can you sell a tenth of a box or a third of a box or a fourth of a box? Can you sell that? And most of the time you can't. You're just selling boxes, right? So negatives don't work, decimals don't work. So any one of these categories of numbers that have negatives or decimals, you got to get rid of. So the first one is actually the answer, non-negative integers. So there's no negative numbers and there's no decimal numbers. But let's keep going, and I'm going to explain why 2, 3, and 4 are not right. So rational numbers. Rational numbers are basically anything that can be written as a fraction. So it's integers, it's fractions, it's repeating decimals, but it also has negatives. So anything that's negative, we're gonna get rid of. So rational numbers can be negative because you can have a negative 1/2 and a negative 1/2 or 1/3. But also because it's fractions, that's another reason that we wouldn't use it. Same thing for real numbers. Real numbers can be negative, like a -4, a -32. It could be 1, it could be 100, but it could also be a decimal like 7.33, right? Or it could be a negative 7.25. But none of these work. You can't have negatives, and you can't have decimals. So again, we would cross that out for both reasons. And integers are numbers like a -5, a -3, a +2, 1, 100. Anything that doesn't have decimals is an integer, but there can be negative integers. That's why we get rid of that. So the answer is non-negative integers because it meets both of these. It's not negative and it doesn't have decimals. So integers are the only choice, but they can't be negative. That's why this is the answer. That's it. And that's what you have to do. Find the domain and what it stands for, and then ask, can they be negative or can they be decimals? All right, now I'm going to stop and post.